organizer of the St. Louis Tea Party, author of the Conservative Manifesto, and had an online column for Town Hall Forum, editor of the StLouisTeaParty.com, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Hennessy.
What a glorious day in America! How many of you people remember Woody Allen before he married his daughter or whatever? He used to be a funny guy, at least I found him funny. He wrote something in the 60s called Brief but Useful Guide to Civil Disobedience. And while Mike Leahy may have guided his life by a Christianized version of Saul Alinsky's rules, Woody Allen's guide is what I've been following. And it started off with a great history lesson. We see the signs that say czars. We've heard czars in the news. It starts off with the most important lesson anyone needs to know about civil disobedience. The Russian Revolution began when the peasants learned that czar spelled C-Z-A-R and czar spelled T-S-A-R was the same person. In America today, it doesn't matter what you call it. Washington is filled with czars who want your freedom. For years, it was difficult to get this word out because we were enslaved by a mainstream media that had a stereotype for this part of the country, for flyover country. And the reality is we don't fit their stereotype. They've been wrong for decades. When Andrew Breitbart, Jim O'Keefe, Hannah Giles, Jim Hoff, the other bloggers, and new media, and you who comment and write and investigate, when you tell the truth, CNN, New York Times, ABC, MSNBC can't hide. You know why? Because we surround them. We surround them and we talk to each other. We move from city to city. We come up the river and across the river. You come down the river and over. We travel all around this country and we proclaim the truth and the freedom and the principles that set us free and set us apart from every other nation and every other species. Woo! Give them hell, Bill! What's wrong about the stereotype they painted of us is that they say that we want to hold people down, that we got ours, that we're all not only rich but stupid. And we want to deny everyone else an education, and we want to deny everyone else money. Nothing could be further from the truth. Yesterday, a Rasmussen poll showed that the only political label that has a majority favorable view is Reagan. Reagan's conservatism was a little bit different than what we've heard in the last 20 years. And it's something we need to take inside ourselves and our hearts and our souls and our minds, and it needs to come off of our tongues. What Reagan taught, what Kemp taught, was that compassion, the way they measure it, compassion is how many people you're feeding on welfare. The way we measure it is how many people you've rescued from welfare. We don't believe in dividing up a fixed pie. We believe in growing the pie and growing the pie until it overflows the pan and overflows the oven and floods the kitchen and out the deck and off the deck and out into the backyard. We're going to build an economic machine that the world's never seen, but we can only do it with freedom. We can only do it if we have the money to invest, if we have the incentive to work harder. And if we have a $600 billion a year cap and trade tax, if we have a $900 billion a year healthcare tax, that's not going to happen. Innovation's going to die. Innovation in healthcare, innovation in science, it's all going to die. We're going to be stagnant the way we were in the 70s. Do you remember the 70s? The Dow Jones from 1964 to 1982 was flat. It didn't move. We had a misery index. That was a combination of inflation and interest rates and unemployment. And we're right back there. We've got trillions and trillions of debt added on every week. The heck are they thinking? We're going to borrow our way to prosperity. Just like GM. Taxes, regulation are forms of slavery. They enslave us to the state. They make us kneel before the master and beg for our sustenance. I won't beg, and I won't kneel, and I won't bow to any prince on earth. When men like Ed Martin step forth from the Tea Party to lead us, we need to thank them. We need to get behind them.
Give them hell, Bill!
Ed Martin over Russ Carnahan, folks, is like the biggest improvement you could imagine in the House of Representatives. With the possible exception of Nancy Pelosi's seat just sat vacant. But when folks, we have a habit of eating our own sometimes. We can't do it this time. There's too much at stake. The freedom of the nation, our history and our future, that rising tide that can lift us all to prosperity, that can end the slavery of welfare and poverty. It can only happen if we change Congress now. We can't risk another 2 years of this administration and this Congress. We can't. So I ask you, in the next week, pick a candidate, pick someone who may not have announced. Urge them to run. If it's you, throw your hat in the ring. These Tea Parties started not because we formed an exploratory committee to look and see what the possibilities are of success. It's because people like Dana Lash, Steve McQueen, Mike Leahy, and thousands of others, literally thousands of others across the country said, I'm going to be in this corner on this date at this time. Join me. And we did. And this isn't just about money, and it isn't about history books, and it isn't about parties. It's about freedom itself. How many of you remember the Mel Gibson movie Braveheart? When at the end, he was given the choice. He could die painfully or he could die easily, but he was going to die either way. And when presented with the choice of bowing down and kissing the ring of a false king, when given a moment to say his vow of respect and allegiance to the king, instead, what did William Wallace say? Freedom! Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hennessy, nice job.